When Gregorian chant was introduced at Mass in the first millennium, it was most likely sung by men only. Though women routinely sang chant during prayers in their abbeys and for the office at the Vatican, the Holy See didn't officially sanction them to sing it during Mass until the 20th century.
The tradition of only male voices is linked to a theological reason. There was the understanding that singing sacred music is a somewhat clerical act, so you're participating in a kind of the priestly office. For that reason, there would only be men who would be singing, or men or boys.
Women, however, did have an impact on Gregorian chant from the early days of the practice. There were even women composing Gregorian chant, even if they were not officially permitted to sing it in Mass.
The permission to do that was not really granted until the 1950s, which is surprising to many people, that you could have a mixed choir in the church. That was really a later development. Nevertheless, it certainly did happen before that, particularly in places like Austria, where the large-scale choral Mass with elaborate, long soprano solos would obviously have called for women to sing them in many cases. Much of this was sort of regulated on a regional basis, and so I would say the history is sort of patchy in that respect. In some places that was the case, especially the further north you would go. In places like Spain, for example, even many of those choirs in the Renaissance didn't even have boys, they only had adult males singing. So there were many, many women who were involved in teaching the chant, but they were not necessarily authorized to actually sing it in the choir lofts of our churches. And so at this point in the 1950s, when there was widespread interest, there was growing competence in this material, I think that there was a movement that the Holy See responded to say, yes, you could have women singing in the parish churches in mixed choirs. And I think the issue was much more of mixed choirs with men and women singing together, more so than just women singing or just men singing. And so that's an important distinction, I think, in this development.
In the 20th century, women and girls have really an opportunity to join their voices in praising God, and it's a beautiful opportunity. And I do see it as an expression of that beautiful theology that all of creation is singing the praises of God.